So I want to come break down the Jamar Chase T Higgins deals. To me, they're horrible deals. Here's why. You put 4 years, $161 million, $112 million guarantee, making the highest non-pick QB in NFL history. Passing Miles Garrett, and then T Higgins is 4 years, 150 million plus Joe Burrow's contract. To me, here's the problem. I think Dan Orlovsky said this best. I think yesterday on TV, and it's the same way I've been thinking for the longest while. But it's the reason why it is not successful. If you're gonna pay a quarterback and two receivers this kind of money, you're gonna have to do like Philadelphia and draft well. Philadelphia had 7 or 8 guys on first year contracts on their defense. Out of seven or to eight of their starters on defense were on first year contracts. It's facts. So you have to be able to draft well and be able to find guys in free agency that can be quality players, and that can come in on cheap deals and play at a high level. If not, you're going to struggle because you're not going to have any much money to pay anybody else. That's why Trey Henderson wants to leave. They can't let him leave. He has to stay for at least 1 more year. I do believe they don't have a Howard Roseman in their office because they've tried doing the Philadelphia method so far and trying to hold up all this money and stuff like. I mean, trying to do it so far and it hasn't worked out. And it's honestly on Cincinnati because remember years ago when they were supposed to pay Jamar Chase and T Higgins, if they would have done it years ago, Jamar Chase, and that's why Buffalo paid Josh Allen right now. You pay these guys right now, so years in the line, they're on a cheap deal. Because if you would have paid Jamar Chase Higgins when you're supposed to, when they first came up as a problem, boom, you would have got a cheap, easy deal. You would have got a cheap, easy deal. There would have been nothing. So that's what Cincinnati's understanding. I just think it's a horrible job by their front office. It's horrible. Their front office is doing a horrible job. Horrible. And handling this situation. But they could have got T Higgins on Jamar Chase on cheaper deals if they would have done it when they should have done it years ago. But they refused. They refused not to. They kept pushing it back a year and a year and a year. They kept pushing it back, and this is what you get. You get this. You get these monster deals that would have been these contracts have been steals. You would have had a steal of a contract on both these if you would have done it years ago. But you decide to be cheap and you don't want to pay guys. You want to keep delaying, and it's almost like a good example is like whenever you procrastinate for a test. You're like, I'll study next week. I'll study next week. I'll study next week. I'll study next week. And then the test come up and you get a 65 or a 70, and you're like, damn. If only I would have studied weeks ago, I could have got a way better grade. This would have been nothing for me. It's just that's the best that I could, it's just best thing I could give y'all. That's just how it is. They kept procrastinating and eventually it caught up to them. I think this is horrible for Cincinnati, just on the fact that like I get that they had to do it, but man, I'm not horrible that they did it, but the timing of which they did it and procrastinating, it was just horrible. And they're going to have to be like the Eagles and try to go find quality starters in the draft. They're going to draft phenomenally well, like Philadelphia. And they have to go find quality guys in free agency on cheap contracts. That's what they have to do. Because with the way they're spending right now, with Joe Burrow, Teague, and the Jamar Chase, it's going to be impossible to sign other people. I'm going to be honest. Because these are on massive contracts, especially for wide receivers. These are massive. To pay one is one thing. To pay two is insane. Wow, this is unbelievable. Yeah, Cincinnati gets their two guys back. They got a long way to go. They got a long way to go. And let me tell you something. Joe Burrow, I'm gonna say, I think all I'm gonna say is I hate I love it because I'm a Seahawks fan, so I would actually love to get Joe Burrow. But if that defense puts up another bad performance, you know, there's gonna be discussions. That's all I'm gonna say. That defense puts up another bad performance, there's gonna be discussions. They gotta find a way to get a defense fixed because right now everything they're doing is putting towards offense and it's putting toward the receiver. And they made that decision when they drafted Jamar. I'm saying it was wrong. It's a great decision that they made. They made that decision that hey, we're gonna prioritize these receivers over anything else when they drafted Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. And now they're committing to Jamar Chase Higgins over the defense. So they're prioritizing Joe Burrow, these two. So, but y'all gotta have it. It takes a team. It just can't be three players. That's my only concern with it today. They're gonna have to draft phenomenally well and be phenomenal for agency when it comes to getting great players, good players on cheap contracts or good deals, bargains. They're gonna have to be phenomenal at that. Just like Philadelphia. Zach Bond is a great example. Cheap player, bargain of a deal, made like what $1 million, two couple of millions last year. Was an all pro. Like that's what I have to do. In Philadelphia, they did free. Guess what else they did? They got the Cooper DeJean. They got the Quinion Mitchell. right? I think they drafted Blankenship, right? They got guys on steals of contracts. They drafted Jalen Carter. They got rookie deal. Nolan Smith, rookie deal. Jordan Davis, rookie deal. Um, you know what I'm saying? Milton Williams, they got him. They had so many dudes that they just invested in year in and year in year out, and they just kept finding every draft. Just kept finding Moro Ojimo. They got a Jalen Hunt. Josh Sweat. They had Hassan Ray. I mean, they just kept finding and finding and finding dudes. It's really phenomenal. Nakobe Dean, I mean, it's just all over. They've done such a good job drafting and putting getting quality dudes on cheap deals. Cincinnati's gonna have to replicate that. If not, they're screwed. I'll be honest, because it's your last year. You just can't just have an offense. You can't. You can't be Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. You gotta have a defense. If it, especially because you can't do it in college, you definitely can't do it in the NFL. So it's as simple as that. Other than that, I had nothing to say on Cincinnati. Um, until then, I see you next one. We out.